And Tauber is going to give a quick synopsis of Reish Man Zion, which is going to give a Maisa, and we're going to finish the sugya. Tonight, everyone has an opportunity to ask practical questions in our homes, in our businesses about Amino Wa'akum. And we're going to have a bechina, we're going to have a test on everything we learned up until now. Since next week is Purim, so the test won't happen next week. So next week we're going to begin learning Hilchos Pesach. We're going to learn up until Pesach, Hilchos Pesach, particularly a bunch of things that you need to know about Pesach. And then we're going to decide after Pesach if we're going to come right back to the Shabbos, or maybe we're going to learn Hilchos Nida, or Tetzaveh, or Yeridea. We're going to just find a way to go over a few weeks of this, a few weeks of that. And so,
all right, we'll tell you dollar page, Daphne, whoever it is. So let me go back to what we're talking about. We're talking about a person having an animal b'shitfus, partnership. And the biggest problem is that an animal is a lav of shvisas behemtoi. Your animal is not allowed to work. Like I said last week, you cannot train your dog to bring in the newspaper. So if you don't have a native, and because that's called as a lav in the Torah. Anything, training a dog for anything is a lav in the Torah. So we're talking now. You have an animal b'shitfus, and you did not make it tonight in the beginning because you could have made it tonight. I explained last week. You tell the guy, Shabbos, I am not the owner of the animal. That means you could take a guy, your partner, and own an ox or any animal and say that Shabbos, it is not mine. It's totally yours. It's Sunday, it's all mine, not yours. But he didn't make such a tanai. If he would have made such a tanai, there wouldn't have been the problem of Shishis B'Hamtoi. But he didn't have foresight, and he didn't do this. So now, this is where we up to right now. He did not make such a tanai in the beginning of the partnership. That Shabbos, it belongs totally to the goy. It's Sunday, totally mine. You cannot make the tanai now. Now, what happening is now, the guy, in Yiddish we say, ich fav techum. You heard that expression. Yiddish means, I whistle you off. I don't know how you say it. Doesn't come out in English so well. That means, I'm going to work with the animal Shabbos. Don't tell me what to do, Jimmy says. If you have a problem, it's your problem. So he's saying, if the guy works without your permission, there is not such a big problem. An interesting halacha. Listen how he says it. Right now, he doesn't hold back from not doing a melucha. The guy is doing a melucha. He's not listening to you. So he shvisas behemto, you're not over. Why am not over shvisas behemto? He's doing work without your permission. He's not asking you. And the next piece is going to say, you did on Aved in the beginning, because you should have been foresightful. And in the beginning, right away, you say, well, I'm going to be in trouble. But now that you didn't, so right now, you're annoyingness. The guy is working. But don't make a condition with the guy, because if you do make a condition with the guy, it's going to come out to the old promise Char Shabbos. If I tell the guy, it's your animal Sunday, Shabbos, it's my animal Sunday, then it's going to come out and be a problem Schar Shabbos. So this is a problem of Schar Shabbos then turns into. He says, you did not make any tonight. Remember we learned, Rashi's opinion is, don't talk too much. Remember what Rashi says? Don't say anything. If you didn't make a condition, Rashi's opinion, don't tell anything till after B'Shavni B'chol. Don't articulate. Don't talk too much. That's the Rosh Hashanah. Divide the prophet over B'Shuvah. Then just divide it quietly. only and a big hefset. The Rav is just repeating, connecting this simon to Reish Mem. Hey, all he's saying right now again, if unfortunately you were both not foresightful and you got into this, the best thing is not to talk anything. Be quiet, divide the profit, and according to Shittas Rosh and the Rasha, you could be makel. We only saw if hefset meruba. If it's a big hefset, it's okay. Im gamanoch im atzem zu shigam ze el het el mug hefset gute. Im gamanoch im atzem las mug b'shabbos and behema you see asking b'chol. If it's going to have to be that way, you have to work Sunday, and he instead of his work Shabbos, because he means to say. But if the guy says, "I'm coming in Sunday to work with you. I'm just coming in Shabbos because I don't want the animal to be not to do anything and another day of work." Remember we had this. If it's evenly divided, if it's not evenly divided, the guy says, "I'm coming every day with you, 6 days a week, work together. But Shabbos, I don't want the business to go do nothing. I'm going to work for free. Then it's not a problem." Now he's saying, like it just says, "B'chol keneged Shabbos." He didn't want to take cholken. After ain't isim shtim schar Shabbos. There's no isim schar Shabbos right now. So he's doing it. He's repeating himself right now. There's no problem of schar Shabbos. There is no problem of the guy working my animal because he's not listening to me. I'm not giving him permission. He's doing what he wants. He did an Aveda Frema Shtatev im Anochri bebehema shenochri yasamulucha b'Shabbos bal karchoi. He did an Isla Mafreya. Freya means you should have never got into such a situation. You're not allowed to get yourself in such a situation to get that you're going to know your animal's going to be working Shabbos. You're not allowed to do this. Now, I heard, since not sure we're going to learn the Reish Mem Ches. Probably not. Reish Mem Ches is a simon how going on a boat. Now, it's kedai to know. The Rav says, it's not the Rav, it's a Rivosh. It's a Rivosh. The Rivosh says this Chiddush, that if I went into partnership with the Goy Sunday, I did a shtickle Aveda, because the Goy is going to work Bal Korchoy. Let me tell you a very famous question that's asked on this Rivosh. The Gemara says, I'm allowed to go 3 days before Shabbos on a boat. Many Rishonim hold, even though that I'm going to go on the boat, there's going to have to come to Chil Shabbos. I might have to work Shabbos. I am not obligated to worry. Let me make this very practical. Many people always ask you, B'nai Torah, do I have to go to a hotel next to the hospital? I know my wife isn't going to, looks like any day, any hour she's going to give birth. So why should I drive on the Shabbos? An hour before Shabbos. Let me spend money. You know, the seat right next to the seat there's a nice fancy hotel. So they asked me, maybe I'm obligated to pay a little money. Many of the people could afford it, so maybe I should do that. Are you obligated? So in Reish Mem Ches, there's halacha, you're allowed to get on a boat right before, 3 days before Shabbos, and many Rishonim hold, Machlokes Rishonim Ban and the Balamur, that how even though for sure you're going to have to be Machalol Shabbos for Bekuch Nefesh.
Once you'll already be there.
Why? Because Sunday I don't have to worry about Shabbos. I went on the boat Sunday. What's going to happen then later? Otherwise, a guy could ask the question, maybe, how could you kaim mitzvahs periverevia? Probably the chance that your wife is going to have a baby Shabbos is a high chance. It's 1 out of 7. But there's no chiyuv. There is no chiyuv because the Rishonim say there is no chiyuv. I am Sunday if I do something that later. Here the Rivash did not learn that way. It's kedai to know it's a famous pilpul question. Here the Rivash says, I bought an animal Sunday with the goy, I made a mistake. Because I should have thought about it, he's going to work with my animal Shabbos against my will. Why can't I, if I'm allowed to get on a boat Sunday, going to the Balamor, knowing that if he's talking about even for sure I will have to Mechal Shabbos, but because the Gemara talks not, see, we only know about a boat. They were talking about a caravan too. You know, the caravan going with a bunch of camels. You can imagine what type of a trip that was, you know what I mean? Yeah, but how could you go?
mean, in those days, going on a boat and going on a
No, a cavern was for sure. That was called, a boat depended what was going on a boat. Anyway, this is a famous question.
But the difference would be that here on Shabbos, since it's because nefesh, it's chutra, so you don't have an option. Here, you don't have an option.
That's what the Chalim was saying. If you hold Hutra, it's Tchiyah. That's the famous question. If you're going to end Yoim, Tim Hitte B'tzim, Tchiyah B'tzim, V'yesh, okay, Zuk the V'yesh Tikkun is there. We already, we have V'yesh Tikkun is there. We have a way to fix this up, Rabbi side. We always have ways. This is why these first Simonim Shulchan Aruch is so important, because in Yiddish there's an expression. My language is Yiddish. Yiddish is a very gut-feeling expression. Yiddish says a Yid gets a chanaitza. Means a Yid always comes up with a good, figures out a way out. So here, so you did a mistake, suddenly you got into a partnership. There's a way to get out of it. What can you do? Make a condition with the goy. You work on it Shabbos. We had this last week. Remember, it becomes your Shabbos. Write it down by the quiz that this, he becomes the owner on it on Shabbos. You work on it Shabbos, it's totally yours. And if something happens, because that shows it's yours. It's yours, something happens, it's your responsibility, you have to replace it. So for that day, it's yours. Remember, I explained this, very important. You can make something someone's, even though he has no right to sell it. Because if the whole responsibility is on him, even though he cannot sell it, that also makes it his. Not if you make some halacha with it. Remember, we explained, it's all yours. If the price goes up, it's your profit. If the price goes down, it's your loss. If lightning strikes it, it's your loss. That makes it also his, even though he cannot sell it.
And what happens if it gives birth? If it's a pregnant animal?
If?
If the animal is born, if the boy has the animal and gives birth,
Well, that whatever they make up. I mean, he didn't sell him the... I could sell an animal, not a fetus. That's a whole separate sugya. I could sell you a cow, but the fetus is mine. Or I could sell you the fetus and not the cow. That's a whole separate... he says, we explained this before. There's another way to do it. I could sell it to him. But with this, what we do now, hopefully I'll explain, maybe when we speak about Hilchos Pesach next week, I'll show you how the Mechiras business goes. Mechiras Chometz. This is the kinyan thing. What do? We tell the guy it's all yours. This is yours. The animal's yours. The old age home is yours. The nursing home is yours. It's yours. How much is the animal worth? $1,000. It's all yours. But just you owe me the money now. So I'm going to use this in a peitika. We explained this once. You know what a peitika means? A peitika means that there's a word in English, a legal word. I forgot. Lawyers need a legal word over here. That this is I have a right. This is to take the loan on this. There's a shibud on this animal. That means I tell the guy, it's all yours. You sold to you. It's worth you owe me $1,000. It's all yours. I have a lien on it. If you don't pay me in such a day, I will repossess, like your car. When you take a car loan, they don't come to your house and take money. They says, if you don't pay us, we're going to repossess the car. Finish. That's only a lien on the car. So the mele, it belongs to the guy. It's totally his. But there's a poitika, meaning you owe me $1,000. So you can run it. It's all yours, but I have a lien on it. Till you pay me the money. So it's called his animal, not mine animal. He should sell it to him, and he owes me the money. You pay him. When I ask the money, you have to pay me, or give me either money. The poitika means I'm winning money. If you don't give me the money, I'm going to take it back. ויחזר noch ויעשו בהם זה הפויטיק לחויב דיינו כשקובמן שיפורו לחויב במויס לא ייחל לסלקם דו ולאחקים בהם זה. You could not sell the animal because till you don't pay me, this animal is meshubed for me. Lefikach, now this is very important. This is how we could sell a nursing home. It belongs to her. But I have an apoitika, meaning to say I have a lien against it. Till you don't pay me the $10 million, I am going to, it's meshubed to me. But it's really all yours, he says. Lefikach calls man shenusin lo amus, and you cannot sell it with all his knowledge. After became oiro b'shisas behemtoi, he's not oiro b'shisas behem. Ki v'shadayin leguva b'meni behem ziri peron. He didn't take it for payment. Ein lo elei shibud ba'almi all he has a lien. The Rav is going to make now thin nafkamina. She didn't mention before the next halacha because the Shonim say two different kinyon. Let me explain this again. I'm going to want to explain the next words what he's saying. A poitika means I gave you a loan. And the Gemara is a poitika. It doesn't have to be I sold you a car. I gave you $10,000 loan, $1,000 loan. If you don't pay me by next Chodesh Nisan, I'm taking this cow. So this cow is meshubed to me. You cannot sell the cow. You cannot do anything. It's meshubed to me. Well, I could, just like I gave you a regular loan, I could do it with selling you the cow. The cow is all yours, guy. You owe me $1,000. It's yours. But till you don't pay me, I have a lien on it. And you're not allowed to sell it till you pay me. Now, I want to explain something to you. The guy is not interested in selling it. The guy knows me, he wants to be partners. And that's still a mechira. Many people make fun of mechiras chumetz because, unfortunately, they're amratzim. They don't know the halacha. Rabbis too, excuse me, but that's the fact. Oh, I've heard this. How could you sell chumetz? You see, they sold... The Shvisas Behemta is a deraisa, just like Chometz. Shvisas Behemta is allowed in the Torah. You could sell it, it's a legal sale. The only question is, I want to explain something, is when the guy knows that he wants to pay, I'm not going to give him the animal. That you cannot do. You cannot, can't have it. That's the guy says, you know what? I'm your uncle, here's $1,000, I'll take the animal. You have to let him, okay. If the guy knows he could do it, let me explain quickly, since it's Negei Pesach, we're going to speak about next week, let me say. The first mechira, which the Rishonim mentioned, the Goyim mentioned, once upon a time, you couldn't buy Chol of Yisrael. Everyone had their own cow. Not just once upon a time. My mother's Azang is in Stark. They lived in Hungary, and they had 13 children, and they had a cow. That was part of every Yiddish home. The cow. And my mother tells me her job was, when she was young, to watch the shiksa. They had two maids. She milked the cow, and she was the shayman to make it Chol of Yisrael. That was her job, her chores, as we say. Now, there's a big problem. If the cow gives birth, you have a b'chor. We don't have a mizbeach. What are you going to do with it? So you know what they did? The Rishonim, they made a star. I'm selling the ear to the goy. There's a din that's yad oiv gechovim be'emtza. If a goy is a partner, there's no b'chor. Now you tell me, Jimmy wants your ear with the cow. Don't tell me. Jimmy thinks to himself, I'm going to collect the ear. After I'm going to take the ear. Ear of a cow is not edible. And the hide is not worth much. You know what I mean? Even those days. You know what I mean? Doesn't make a difference. He's a partner. If he wants, he can come collect the ear. And he knows, I let him. You don't want it's yours. It's yours. It's not. But it's a legal halacha d'gazat. It's his. The Rav, when the Rav himself says, but you can't make it, the guy knows if I want the ear, he's not going to give it to me. That's a chichot lila. That's like a joke. But the guy knows, take the ear. Guy wants to today take the chometz, your chometz, and guy, the shiksa, that decides, comes to your house, knocks, you sold me the booze. Take the booze! The reason why, tell you why it is, because the Maisa, nowadays we could take the booze, we could get a new one. In the times of the Shulchan Aruch, the times of the Magen Avraham, this was a famous thing they used to do. They used to go around, buy all the booze from the Yid that was a Mishumed. I say Mishumed, someone went over, And he would go around, buy all the booze, and then now he's my boss. You can't call San Diego, send me a truckload of booze now, you know what I mean? There was no San Diego, so you had to make new ones. So that was, people didn't want to give it up. The Eden were the business of running kretschmas, how do you say in English? Parents. That was the panosa then. So that was a problem. But today, if the guy wants to have the booze, take it. You give me the money. It's yours. It is yours. Take it. I'll collect the money from him. And no one's going to collect them. I'll get my money anyways. We're not, that's why. So the kid said, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Even though here the guy knows with the animal, come on, this is just, he's religious, he's got a headache, and people always ask me, hey, I write a document, it's chal, when chal takes effect, and it's a real halacha de gezach. It's just like the ear. That's the best mashal. Now I want to tell you something. The ear of a cow is a lot worse. Because shchita chitz is chayiv koretz. Bal yiro is only allowed in the Torah. People, to have chometz in Pesach, you only over bal yiro, bal yimotza. Shechting an animal that's a bchor, bizman hazeh, is chayiv koretz. So if the sale is not a sale, every time you work with the ox, yoiv alav, it's not just 7 days. Every time you work with bchor is alav le'savit. You're not allowed to work with le'savit bchor. You're not allowed to work with them. So there's alav, and when you shech them, it's chorus. Shchita chutz is chorus, but it works. I'm just emphasizing this because lots of people, even people who learn yeshivas or learn Torah, don't have this right. This is halacha without a question. I hear people sometimes tell me that they don't want to buy certain, they'd rather buy from Rab's, which is a goyish store, than buy from Yiddish sold the chometz. I say, you're making fun of the Shulchan Aruch. Making fun. The sale is a sale. It's a real sale. Not choshid in roiva bar yo bar mutza. You never heard about this chumrah? Okay. Not encouraging it.
You have to sell the year before the birth of the cow, just before the birth?
Before the birth. It means before the animal gives birth, you have to sell the ear. So once it's born, it's too late.
But then if once there is a blemish, then there's also no Yisrael. Before there is a
Yeah, well, then there's a, yeah. Then you have to give it to a kohen.
And just to clarify, earlier on in the SIF, it said the yesh tikkun, right?
Yeah.
And now it's saying, are there two separate solutions here?
Three solutions. One solution is, the first solution is says, tell the guy that if he works on it Shabbos, it's total his achrayis, it becomes his. Second solution is, sell it to the guy, and it's his, you owe me $1,000, I'm making a poitika, a lien, till it's not yours 100%. I don't know, I'm not familiar. If I lease a car, I could sell the car? Not lease. If I buy a car and I have a bank lease against me, I could sell it? Uh-huh. But it's not. It's not like this. This apoitika means
We're already partners, meaning the guy.
Yeah, but my half.
Right.
I'm just selling my half. You're right. My half, I'm selling him this way. So my half, I'm selling half of the bull, which is worth whatever, $500, $1,000. You owe me the money. It's all yours. And for that reason, till you don't pay me, you cannot sell it. And it's a poitika, meaning it's meshubit to me. It's not mine, because it's mine. It belongs to Jimmy. So Jimmy bought it. He's having it now. He bought it for me. He owes me $500 or $1,000, whatever the value. I have a lien on that thing. Till he doesn't pay me the cash, he cannot sell it.
And when it makes profit, who's the profit go to? It belongs totally to Jimmy.
Yeah, but he owes me the money, so we share the profit. We share the profit because he didn't pay me.
Well, the money's making money.
Yeah. That's the third way is not. I don't know why. I looked up Shulchan Aruch, but there's another way which the Machaba brings down. Other Rishonim, you don't have to make an apoitika. There's a regular mashkin. That you have to know chashimish. I don't want to go into the details, but you could add a regular mashkin. There's a regular mashkin without a apoitika. I'm selling the goy the animal. I'm taking it back as a mashkin. Mashkin means you owe me the money, and it's yours. It's yours. Now I'm taking it as a mashkin. I have a kinyan mashkin. such a concept as a kinyan mashkin, and I borrow it back to the guy. Lend it back to the guy that he could work with. It's the same idea, but the Shonim say both things, so the Rab brings both things down. Same, or any one of them.
These contracts you're making, are they done every Friday afternoon, or are you making one contract?
Well, you could make it one. Wait, this guy sold the beginning of the season. The guy, if you remember last week, what happened? The Jews had a property, farmland, and he had a guy who was called sharecropping, whatever he does. I had to give him the animal. He didn't have to, I had to supply the animal. So for the whole season, I sold it to him this way.
No, he didn't sell it just for Shabbos. He sold it to him for the whole time.
But what am I really emphasizing? That these mechiras is a true mechira. And the reason is, I don't care if the goy looks at it strange. So what? I did, but see, I sell it to the shiksa, who takes care of the ladies mikveh. So in our shul. So I started many years ago. So the second year I said, you know what? I'm going to have it translated into Spanish. I gave it to her. I really didn't have to. She says she accepts. But maybe, so I gave it to the Spanish. She knows exactly what it is. And that's good enough. She knows what she's signing. And it's really hers. Even though she knows she's doing me a favor, but halachically it is hers. And she would, I used to tell her, you win the lottery, you will have all the nursing homes. Someone told me that in my area code, most of the nursing homes in California, the people live in my area code. That's what someone told me, a guy who came to sell, and in the California nursing homes. The kids I'm trying to say she is the owner. She owes me the money, so she could call a cartel and drive everyone out of business, but she's got to pay the cash. It's no problem. Okay, so if you want, you can lick a base on a mashkin. This is the second thing. Achar, after he made a loan from it, if you don't pay me, that's a mashkin. If you don't pay me, I'm going to keep the animal. That means if you don't pay me, I'm going to keep the animal. That's what a mashkin means. If you don't pay me, I keep the animal. You know what a mashkin means? Collateral. I give you a loan, you give me a collateral, and I tell you, you don't pay me, I keep the golden wash. When you go into what is it called? People go pawn shop. It's a regular loan. The pawn shop is a loan, and you just put down jewelry for a hamashkin. I bet
the cow belongs to both of us, and I'm telling him, I'm gonna.
My chelik, the eats chelik.
My chelik, you can.
I could sell it, make it a poitiko, or make a mashkin on it.
Right, but how did that mashkin actually, technically, how is it working?
Let's say the animal, my chelik is $1,000.
Yeah.
You owe me $1,000 for the animal now. It's yours. You owe me $1,000.
I'm selling you the animal completely again, but I'm taking the animal
as a mashkin. It's not mine now. See, you hear what he's saying? I want to emphasize. I forgot his first name. I want to emphasize what he's saying, because this, you see, is sounds more fictitious than anything else. What he's saying is, what he's pointing out, how does it work? I go to the guy, it's $1,000, the animal. It's all, I'm selling it to you. But you don't have the money, let me take it back. Hello? I gave it to you, take it back. And I say, you know what? I'll be nice, I'll give it back to you again. But it's chal, because it has a lot of ramifications. That's what it is. You understand? That's what it works.
The whole time belongs to him, but half a week, practically.
The whole week, the whole season. You don't have to do it every Friday. The first time we did it, beginning of the season, we start working, plowing. I don't know how the.
It's as if I'm using the mashkin.
That means it is the goys. I made a kinyan mashkin on it, and I was nice and gave a loan to him. Okay, Yitten lei behemel aber fikach kolz masche nussen lei mus en yuchal mach roi kenat sellet schon mit daite über all das benischen. Ab beken eine euro mit schmisses behemtoy. He's not only called schmisse kolz man shoi tavoy. He didn't ask for the money. But a nikles loile peruem. and it was not nikna for Purim. It didn't become for payment. As long, that means all he's trying to say, the owner of the animal is the guy. Till we didn't come to the end. At the end, we say to the guy, no, you don't want to pay me now at the end of the season? You go l'chaim l'shulam, I go my way, give me back the animal. So we do this by Mechirus Chumetz, we do it once a year. We could do it for 20 years. Why do once a year? We want everyone to remember you're selling it, says the Paiskim. I could sell the nursing homes for 20 years. I want to do it every year. People should remember you're selling it, it's Chumetz, it's a problem, it's Musaf Chola, we want them to be aware. Now, you have to know the whole Sugya Machshav. The Rav threw in a word over here because it's a Sugya Masechtes Psochim of the Kinya Machshav. Let me explain what this means. The Gemara discusses you could make a mashkin two ways. I can make a mashkin again. Let's go back. I sold the animal to the goy. The goy, it's his animal. He owes me $1,000. I say, Jimmy, where's the $1,000? You know what? You can't pay me. I'll take the animal for a mashkin. Right? Now you could take two ways. I could tell Jimmy me. The mashkin means if you don't pay me, let's say we'll make up in 5 months is the due date of the payment. I'll keep the animal and the animal will be mine then, not now. Then it's going to be mine. But the Gemara discussed that you can make a mashkin, a ma'achshov. If I take the animal, I say to the guy, if you don't pay me 5 months from the beginning, this animal was mine. You shouldn't do this because the guy doesn't pay you, then it comes out l'mefrei, it was yours, she's a behemtoy. It's not so much a gay Hilchos Shabbos, it's much more gay by Pesach, the Gemara talks about ma'achshov. So it throws it in, this nekuda.
Can you repeat the language to that again?
It means this.
The language that you're saying to the guy.
There's two ways I could say to the guy. I have the collateral in my hand. Moshel, you go to a pawn shop, I have the collateral. I could say to the guy, if you haven't paid me in a month from now, the 1st of April, I tell him, if you don't pay me first, then the 1st of April, this expensive item will become mine. But there's another way the Gemara says that right now, I'm telling, I got the collateral. I tell the guy, if you don't pay me by the 1st of April, this was mine now. Ma'achshav, it's mine. I mean, from the beginning, it was mine. It's like works with the Tanai. So it comes out here, don't do ma'achshav, because you do ma'achshav, you over l'mefrei. What do you say? You beat the whole purpose, exactly. That's why he only put it in, the Rav, because the Sugya of Mashkin discusses this. So it just, okay. Im Leute el fikshet wenn ich halke beschas kriege sheire bei hefset weil der hefset euch schiert noch in der machroi lo yifloi bemues nimmt sich schon freier euch seknili souverän mit dem schisse behemtoy. Okay, this is simple. So he gave you a few tikkunim. The Rav says there's a way of tikkun, many ways how to get out. So tezan kein Ben Shosa Poitika, Ben Shlosa, he did not make a Poitika. Ben Shanot Lamashkim, Shanot Elamachlo, Ben Mechiri Gemura, he sold the totally. She's Biuda Lamachlo, Shlomi Daitoi. Kivish Kozman Shamachel and shit from Bob, Yesh Shash Maras Ayin. The Rav says, Fichesh Le Farsana Shosa Der Cheter. The Rav says, be Mefarsen, that you're doing a Der Cheter. That's a potent Nekuda what he brings out. That, nowadays, I don't think you have to, everyone knows that you have a nursing home, an old age home, or, but there are people who have, but I told you a story with in Toronto, Reichman, that they have to put up a huge sign, the Moshe held up, putting up a huge sign on the thing, that is good, like a person to know, everyone should know. Now, it goes on, that I've had to say, she's a political shit, Lamashkum, after Shekol Behemish Yisrael. He repeats, and he says, till now we talked about half and half. The same halacha if the whole animal is mine. And I give the whole animal, we have no partnership. Make sure he knows it was done there.
This is more the old age that you're talking about.
I'm sorry, I have to answer this one, make this call.
Okay, so just for the people that walk in a little bit late, so what we made out is that tonight is the last night of Amir Halacha, and after Rabbi finishes Reish Ben Vav, we'll make a kitzur of Reish Messiah about that, because it's the Gala Maisa, send the meal before Shabbos, and even if you can hold maybe a little bit more time, it won't matter. If anyone here has a practical question, and again, what you can tell your sheikhs in the house, what you can tell them going to shul, let's chop on tonight. Menashe suggested, even though that I wrote in the email, whoever's not getting the email, give me your email address. Next week, because of Purim, not to have the test next week. So, to say that. So Rabbi Tauber is going to begin next week Hilchos Pesach. One of the things he's going to be teaching us is the Gila Rabbana Shadinim. Like, we should be familiar, not that God Shadinim, we should do it. You need to have Shimish. But to be familiar with the Sh'al Mechira, I'm going to ask him later if we can watch it, see him selling it. It's good to see how it's done, not to learn about it. Certain, at least you'll know when you see another Rav doing it, you'll have a more inside view of how the behind the scenes of the Hilchos Pesach works. You're only going to learn Hilchos Pesach until Pesach. So he's going to choose certain siddhim that we should learn inside. And then the rest, our area, we have to learn on our own. But I want to focus with Rabbi Tauber more on the less known, more abundant parts of Hilchos Pesach. And then after Hilchos Pesach, we'll begin learning. We can make like even a consensus. I mean, there are things we have to learn. We can even begin here today. The things that we need to cover, we need to cover. The question is just to order. Let's order things around and maybe come back to Hilchos Shabbos in a couple of months from now. And when it comes to Hilchos Pesach, I think even if people are not into the whole 3-year smicha program, whatever it's going to take, but the Hilchos Pesach, it's pashut. We should advertise it to our chaverim. When people come for a commitment of 2 or 3 weeks, whatever, 3-4 weeks, and to become more familiar, especially with interesting parts of Hilchos Pesach. Why not, right? Pesach, yes, Pesach. Yes, so let's stay focused now. Look.
Okay. So Yitches is saying, you know, how you say in English, this is a sidebar thing you say in English, a sidebar. He's saying, all this was saying that the guy is doing the malacha, you leased out the farm to him, he's doing the work. And we have a problem with the animal. He says, if the guy is now working for you directly, because before we're talking about a sharecropper or any other thing, but the guy has his self-interest. But if, let's say, the guy is my servant, my driver, and he goes on a shlichus for me. I didn't tell him to go. In certain cases we learn, then the Rav says, that has nothing, that is no heter of this. There's a separate problem. That's an old problem. A guy cannot do a melucha for me. You can't have, many people don't know. People have a hard time hearing the guy cannot do melucha on Shabbos. I had just someone ask me in the community that he ate over b'Shabbos someone and it's supposed to be a ben Torah, and the guy, the shiksa, was doing laundry. People don't. You're not allowed to. There is no heter. This is the guy. The Rabbi is explaining. We're only talking about the guy is a sharecropper or he's a kablan. He's allowed to work and is a partner. But when he's your maid and he's your housekeeper and he's using the animal, is using the cow or using then it's a separate way. You're not let him use, but there's a separate issue. Forget that. Even there's no shisas bamtoy because we took care of the animal. The animal turned into a car. It's not an animal anymore. It belongs to the goy. When we sell it to the goy, it's like today a car. But it's still your car. The goy cannot drive your car to the pickup from the cleaners or drive your car away, do something for you, deliver packages for you. You have to send out your business mails over there. The goy cannot do it for you. That's what we're saying. Doing melucha ein heter klal. There's no heter. Filling machreloi the mechire gemira. Shemekomu kamanach ois melucha b'Shabbos shiri yisol. He's doing for him his work. Unless I gave a k'tzitza. That means I told the guy of Shabbos, you can use my car, go take deliveries, I'm paying you, you don't have to do it Shabbos, you can do whatever you want, and that's okay. We explained that's also no good. What happens if he just is a delivery and he doesn't have the whole year? He doesn't have to deliver Shabbos. He gets paid a lump sum, and he doesn't have to. He could do whatever he wants. And if he delivers Shabbos, also good. All this he explained before. He has a private balagula. I mean, my neighborhood, the old generation, the new generation don't. Yeah, there's one guy in my neighborhood, a young generation, has a private driver, private, how you say, balagula, chauffeur. But most people. Anyways, but I'm saying, if he gets a lump, let me say for the year, the goy, and that's we had before, then if he wants to go, I don't tell him to go Shabbos, I ask him to deliver, and he decides to do Shabbos, it's okay. He has to leave the house before Shabbos. He repeats himself and make sure you sold it, and the Rav repeats himself, make sure you do it the right way. So then the next piece was the big tumult. Oh, so many people misquote. I've heard this from Tamid Chum coming and saying, doesn't the Bir Halacha say you can't do it? The Bir Halacha, but the Rav is saying the Bir Halacha says there was another problem in the good old days. People used to sell it for Shabbos only, and what do the people say on the streets? On the street. I saw Chaim Yankel's cow on the cow, her ox or camel or horse driving the wagon Shabbos. Don't tell me what he did. He's not such a frum guy. He's not such a chassidish guy. He's right out of the language. Don't tell me. That was a problem in the time because everyone knew that this was his horse and buggy, and it's working Shabbos. So they had another problem. So the Rav says you can't just sell it for Shabbos. You must sell it for a whole year. So the coal is going to go out. He sold it for him. He made this deal for a whole year. Can't come every Friday. Okay, let's make a new deal now with the guy, because the whole week it's not his. And then all of a sudden, what are people going to say? So there's maras ayin problem. So that is the problem. You understand? Maras ayin, people are not going to know. Well, it seems like you sell it. I really can't. I don't have an answer. I'll tell you why I don't have an answer to you, because we don't live that way. You don't even know what your neighbor does in business. Today we live in a new world. You don't even know the panos of your neighbor. But those days there was no distraction. So what did people talk? If they were not so niz 100% loshnara, what does he do? What does he do with the business? Life was all.
If he sold it for the whole year, but it's still his wagon, at least he is.
No, he's not. It's sold for him the whole year. So then there's a cult. People know. People know about it. Talk about he sold it for a whole year, and it's at least done. It's very hard for a whole year. This is what he's saying. He shikni gami moisachol b'toch meishach zman nisiyusoi. Eine makne le Shabbos va usamaras ayin k'shiz ba'alamal. We explained this. V'chemi atzma noisei gami mesisim koi meichol. He himself is driving with Masunus Ula. V'reini kural shmoi. Abi shemach lenochem mechirig mirav moisachol. Then he has another problem. They used to sell it for the whole season, but a whole week, he was telling the guy, come, turn. He filled up the gas tank, he sold it, come out. What is this? So the Rav says it's maras ayin. This is a maras ayin problem. It's not in the etzem mechira. It's maras ayin. So the assumption is, most people have businesses, don't have them from neighborhood. But there are people who have them from neighborhood with businesses. But everyone knows today that's how these businesses work. You speak to anyone who said that's how the business people sell it. Okay. What? Now, Utest is a question. Is there a famous question, Utest? Is there din shvisas behemta yontav or not? Shvisas behemta. I said over that, I don't know if I said it over here, but a lot of people don't know this. If you have a dog and there is no Eidah, you're allowed to walk a dog with a leash. You are. It's a Mishnah. I always tell people you can't argue with a Mishnah. Maybe other Svarim, but not with a Mishnah. The Mishnah says clearly you're allowed to walk with the dog on a leash. So the question is, The question is that how about Yontif? Is that the Shisas Behentam Yontif? Because we have a special pasig on Ma'inich Behemtechu Avdechu Kamoichu. That is a special pasig said on Shabbos. Yontif, we don't have the pasig. Yontif, we have the Teres Sasuk Malacha. And we learn the Malacha of Yontif of Shabbos. But here this is not called, when Shisas Behemto is not of the Lamates Malachas, nothing to do with Lamates Malachas. It happened to be a Malacha by dog is only a Malacha by humans. You know, the Rashi brings down Ala Torah. If you guys know Chitas, Rashi brings down in Pas Yisrael, you can tell me not to let an animal graze is ripping the grass off. But that's not called Menucha for the animal, you can't rip the grass off. It means you can't do the animal cut the grass for me. But if the animal eats grass for itself, that's called a Menucha. We have a special posik, the Shabbos. That means an animal, she's a behem, does nothing to do with Lamatis Malacha. We have a special posik, just like we have a special posik in Allah Go Chitzat Chum, special posik, she's a behem toy. In Yontav is a Mechlekes Ereshaina, is she's a behem applies to Yontav. Somebody should know, the Mishnah says, Emi Shabbos Yontav Eichel Nefesh, so that should apply. Other Shem say it's a special posik on your Shabbos. That's it. Kishem Shu, the Mitzvah, she's a behem to be Shabbos, Mitzvah, she's a behem to be Yontav. The Fikach called Brute Halucha Shin Bali Nishalas Chid Behem Noch Shifti Moike Gab Shabbos and Hagam Kevi Yontav. It applies Yontav too. She Ein Ben Yontav Shabbos Meleches Hitre Beglalo Nefesh Shenema Kom Luch Yisabem Achish Chol Nefesh. Only Shabbos Yontav is Eichel Nefesh. So this, so your dog cannot make a melacha for you neither on Yontav. V'yesh Omen If Yontav Edim Tzav Min HaTorah Shis Behem Toy. Why if you Shulanit Stavi B'Yontav Eli Shenas Melucha. Yontav Sasik Melucha. Mashe Behemteni Oise Einze Nikras Melucha Etzleini Ele Eitza Behema. It's only by Behema. Rav Shabbos Leiman Isa Zeh Memash Shneim Ele Sasik Melucha Sheinze Melucha Klal Etzleini. It's not a Melucha Mitzvah Cheresish Malniach Shorchu Chamorcha Vein Heges Yontav Klal. It's a separate lav, nothing to do. So Mameli Yontav is not said. Yidin Shvisas Avdoi. You know there's a din, Shvisas Avdoi. That means like this. You can have, there's two types of an Evet. You can have an Evet Kanani, Rabbi Isai. Evet Kanani means that you guide them halfway. Then you can have a slave, which you bought a slave. A slave, and you know the times of the Shulchan Aruch. This is brought down a few places the other day. But in time of Shulchan Aruch, even but you know, just for the history, you know the Ashkenazim. That means in Europe. In the Western world, I think it's called the Western world in English, the Western world, slavery didn't exist for who knows how long. Very long. Slavery existed by the Arabs. Do you know that? In Poland, in Germany, in France, where the Ashkenazim lived, there was no slavery, maybe 1,000 years already. I'm not a historian. But in the Shulchan Aruch, you see, the Mechaber talks about Hilchas about them because he had a slave. The Shittim Mekabetzes lived in Mitzrayim. There's a whole long famous tshuva about the father has an Torah with the son about a slave. You know, whole famous Jew. But those days, you couldn't make him into a Jew. They would burn you a stake if you made the slave into a Jew. So we left him be a goy. There's also a lav in the Torah, that's a Gemara, Mesechtes Yevamos, that a slave who is a goy, he worships his idols, he's not allowed to do malacha for you on Shabbos. An Evet Kanani is not allowed to do for himself a malach on Shabbos. Medaraisa. An Evet that you are the owner of the slave, Menat Torah, he cannot do a malacha for you. For himself, he can do a malacha. So if I own such a slave who's a Christian or any other, you know, is not Evet Kanani, he could smoke for himself and do whatever himself. But I cannot ask him anything. If I ask him to do anything for me, or if he does it by himself for me, and I don't stop him, I'm over Issa Daraisa. So that is the same achloikas, if that applies, Yontov or not. Because it's the same pusik, that avduchu, darshans the Gemara, that's what he's saying over here, the Rav. V'yidin, she's avdush ein heges v'yontov, fish derveim, fish ein b'chal meluch, el mitzah cheres, shnema inich avduchu moschel kemoicho. In yenuch yeshra, hachme b'shel, toirik eswere reshoyna, you should be machme. Okay, finish this statement. And let me I could say Bekitzer Resh Mem Zayin. First thing Resh Mem Zayin, first mistake. The first day I gave a sheet, there was a guy over here, I forgot his name. He asked me this question. Grunfeld? So he asked me this question. I heard this question often, that people say I cannot throw something into the mailbox before Shabbos. I don't know where this amaratzas comes from. I have no idea. You're not allowed to throw into the mailbox. As you're walking to shul, can I pass a mailbox and drop a letter into it? Right before Shabbos. You're allowed to drop mail into the mailbox right before Shabbos. Just like we spoke about, you're allowed to go to the cleaners a minute before Shabbos. You're driving to shul, you drop over the cleaners. As long as you don't tell them, I'll pick it up after Shabbos. There's no problem whatsoever. As long as he leaves there, there's nothing. The famous Gemara about thing is when it's not kotzatz. If it's kotzatz, and when you for the mail it's kotzatz. I don't know how much the mail is. Whatever it costs is 41 cents. What is it? 40 cents, 41 cents? So 44 cents the postage. That is the price. That's kotzatz. So you're allowed to drop into the mailbox. You cannot do something else. You cannot throw into the mailbox overnighted. Drop over before Shabbos. If you drop it off right before 5 o'clock, they guarantee you're overnighted. I don't know the mail, the government mail is bad. But whatever, if they do say, I tiny that the government get out to pick, it doesn't happen. I have people send me matters from up north. It doesn't. I tell them, do not send with USA mail. They say the next day it doesn't come. With FedEx it arrives, but then it doesn't arrive. You can't say you want to do overnight. You can't. Can't send FedEx because. But you tell them to deliver Shabbos. See, 2 days is okay. You know why I found out? Because they deliver sometimes the next day. I see it all the time. They send me matters. It says 2-day mail. It came the next day. They just tell you it's going to be 2 days. You can't hold me up against it.
So you could do that?
Yes, because I find it all the time. People say 2 days, and it comes the next day.
All these cases when it's Saturday delivery, meaning not a Saturday delivery doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Normally, a regular overnight that you send on Friday.
Yeah, but he's talking about Saturday delivery. You're talking about Saturday. Yeah, if you don't want it delivered to Monday, it's no problem.
So what do you mean? If overnight you send Friday doesn't count on Shabbos?
No, but there is such a thing Monday. Okay, so that's the first thing which is okay. Now, what the Elchonon talks about here is another case. See, when it's kotzatz, the concept is the goy does it al daita denafshe. If I pay him, I go to the cleaners, and I tell him a minute before Shabbos, I'll pick it up Monday morning, or I'll pick it up Motzei Shabbos 7 o'clock. He has time to do it Motzei Shabbos. It's whatever he does, I daita denafshe. He wants his money paid, and he wants to do a good job, finish. When goy does it for free, I ask a goy, then he's doing it for me. Now, the Rab discusses a big machlekes that is showing him what happens if the goy says, can I do you a favor? We always know there is no free lunch. There's a famous story with the brisker roof. The brisker roof, and Etzisol, who passed away in Etzisol, the brisker roof came, so the barber came to give him a haircut, and he wanted to pay him. He says, Rebbe, I'm not taking money, it's my schus. He tells him, if I don't pay you now, I'm going to have to pay you later. You know what that means? The lady, you come asking for favors from me. If I don't pay you now, I'm going to pay later. There's no free lunch. There's no free lunch. So if a guy comes and offers himself, so that many of the Rishonim built on Yeshama, that obviously he feels he's not going to pay him later. If he offered himself, he owes me one. In America, you say, you owe me one. You know what I mean? So maybe that's why he's coming. So that's like kotzatz. It's also good. That's a chiddush of kotzatz. Then the question of it's not kotzatz, that there's two opinions in the Machaber, in the Rishonim. If it's not kotzatz, one shita holds, if it's not kotzatz, I cannot send mail, doesn't have to be mail, cannot say anything if it's not kotzatz, unless it could arrive there before Shabbos. So the first shita holds, if I send with a goy, without money, I just ask him for a favor, and I deliver this package, And if he's not going to get there till Shabbos, it takes longer, I cannot send it with him. I can't do that. That's what he knows. A second opinion says no. There's no. That means even there is no ktsitsa, it's only Erev Shabbos. Then it looks terrible. But if it's not Erev Shabbos, Sunday, I'm not paying for him. He doesn't have to travel Shabbos. You know, if I'm not paying for him, he could do whatever he wants. He's doing me a favor. Even though he came to me, whatever. But the bottom line is, it's only Friday, it looks terrible. He's not getting paid. It looks terrible that Friday you send him out and he's going to do it on Shabbos. This is the first shitta holds, the other shitta holds that it's only even for Sunday. So again, beloy ktsitsa, without paying, if he's doing it for free, is a machlokes. One shitta holds Friday is only the issa, whole week is okay. The other shitta holds even Sunday is the issa. Yeah.
Situation I once had, and I'm trying to remember, I'm changing it slightly, but I was in the travel business, and I had to get tickets to a group of people. Tickets, I sent them out UPS. UPS lost everything, I had to get them reissued, and UPS was now going to try and deliver them again. People were leaving literally, I'm changing it, but on Sunday, and it's Friday. What can you do in a situation like that?
Once upon a time, there's no e-tickets. I forgot all about that. It's before e-tickets. In such a oifen, it's a hefset meruba. You're going to lose all your business if word gets out that. The best way is to tell a goy to tell another goy. So you tell a goy to tell another guy. You had workers working for you, obviously, what? Or you were doing it yourself?
Then you can get the better going.
Yeah, just get a guy. So it makes it like a shus to shus. Yeah, the mail is for sure that way, but mail, but it's no hefset. He's talking about he's desperate, and that he sent out airline tickets. But you're not allowed to. The Rav said a shvus is only mutter behefset godel. So I know people do it in the business. They do it. They send it out. Yeah, there is no het. I know a lot of people do it. There is no het. There has to be a hefset godel just because they needed it. There has to be a hefset godel.
We tell them in the shul, okay, air conditioning, heating. Tell them to go open it and close it.
The minig was that in a shul, I don't know Chabad minig, but the Hungarian minig was always, and Shtibur doesn't like it, I'm sure the minig was that for Tzar Charaben, you put on the heat, you put on the air conditioning, you put on the lights in a shul. But they don't need a shul, you just tell the guy directly. In a home, there is no heter. Just because it's hot, no one dies from heat, unless you have an old, who knows what, just because we're uncomfortable, so what? The only heter is if you have I don't know how, if you have a goyish babysitter, you have a living maid, you tell that maid, whenever it's hot for you, you could do it. So she does it for herself. That's okay. But just because you are hot, the air conditioner went off, and I said over last year, so I think I said a few weeks ago, last year, I was told afterwards, Sheva Bruchas was in the house, and someone by mistake pulled the switch, but there was light. It was light, it wasn't all the lights went out, and they looked for a guy, and there was a big argument, are you allowed to? There's no heter. I mean, you could see. I said, you go to the restaurants, they make it romantic, it shouldn't be so light. I don't know why, but the Gemara says you should see what you eat. Gemara says you should see the food what you eat, not to be semi-dark. But I'm just saying, so there's no heter for that. In the house, that's an issa deraisa. Putting on a light is an issa deraisa. It's not even a shus to shus. It's one shus. Telling a guy to put on the light is one shus. These bulbs are issa deraisa, for sure. So you don't need. You want.
It doesn't say mokum chayli?
Air conditioning? No.
Just the heat.
Hakel choy meitzat sinner was bitter cold.
I heard that Moshe said the same thing as by Yid.
No, he knows that. They said it, but Moshe never said it in the Tshuva. They say it, that Minchas Yitzchak said, in a rabbin, there's always going to be someone who could pass out. But if that's in a house, you have a person who's old age, put on the air conditioning. But let's say most of us are young here. You're going to be, like you said, you're going to be uncomfortable. That's it. That's, we got used to everything has to have a way out. Not everything. Let me just say something to Shalma. I want to say quickly to Shalma. Shalma, there's a manduma in the Shalma that holds, you're not allowed to knock on the door. We don't pass in that way. We hold you're not allowed to knock on with a knocker. Many of the doors have a keli. That you're not allowed to use Shabbos. It's a miyuchet for knocking. You're not allowed to use that. Many people don't know. If you have such a thing that bangs, it's miyuchet for Shabbos. You're not allowed to have that. So what happens is the Rishalma says the woman was not allowed. He came on Friday night, and his wife is not answering the door. She fell asleep. So what did he do? The whole night, no Suda Shabbos, no Kiddush. What would we do? We would have found the heter. We would have found the heter. He laid down and slept at the doorstep till the morning. Tell this to a guy today. Well, what is the problem knocking on the door, Rabbi? Come on, you have no way out. Knocking on the door, you're not allowed to. They're telling you go, he's the shoes. So I'm going to sleep on the front. No big deal. Maybe today it's a tsar good l'meyoid because we are, we don't have a silly pas preparing. Also tsar good l'meyoid. Yeah, so what I'm saying, but not everything is a way. People have this idea that if it's a little difficult, there must be a way out. No, the air conditioner is just because the air conditioner closed down. It's not.
No, but what about that the way of asking someone to do something but indirectly?
It's only there's a big machlekes. The Rav says, it's a machlekes, the Rav and the Mishnah Berurah. The Rav never has such a heter. The Mishnah Berurah is Mekel has a heter only if it's a negative thing, not a positive thing. Because the goy you could tell goy could turn off the lights, turn off the heat. Something that you're not going to enjoy, but if the air conditioner is giving you enjoyment, you have to stop the goy from put on the air conditioner, the Rav holds.
No, that wasn't so. To be clear, when you shut it off, what you did,
So I forget to put off the lights before Shabbos. That's okay.
I forgot to put on the lights. Refrigerator is something else. I'll explain. Forgot to put on the lights. Let's say in the bedroom. People have asked me. Somehow the baby, the 2-year-old, put on the light and so I heat them. Certain people cannot sleep.
Maybe went on and turned on the TV.
Yeah.
The lights, you had TV.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So, but if that happens, the problem is it's very disturbing. You could tell a goy beremes to close it.
According to the Mishnah Berurah.
According to the Rav too, because it's a negative thing. According to the Rav, I have to look up the Rav. I think the Rav says machmer. You're right. The Rav is very machmer. The Mishnah Berurah is mekel. The Rav is extremely machmer. The Rav is the most machmer of Achronim. Mishnah Berurah holds, and a negative thing you could do that. So let me just 1 second. So you could tell that according to Rav, it's going to be a problem. See, the refrigerator, that you could tell a goy directly. That's a whole different reason.
Second question, if you left the light bulb on the
Yeah, one of the Chabad houses called me today. They had a big argument about it. They left the refrigerator, the bulb was not turned. I always tell people, if you have a refrigerator with a bulb, take it out. You're guaranteed there's going to be one Friday, you're going to forget it. It's bodik menusa. It's guaranteed it's going to happen. So anyways, this happens, a new fridge, and they didn't realize it. And it was, so you could tell a goy to open it. Why? Because opening a refrigerator is not a malacha. It's a psikresha dig malacha. When you open the refrigerator, your intention is not the light. The light that goes on is called a psikresha. You know what psikresha means? It means it's in, how you say psikresha?
Your intent was certainly going to happen.
Your intent is not the light. Your intent is open the door. And it's automatically the light is. Because light, we don't even need the light. We don't have a light. We took it out. You can live without light. It's a psikresha, means you can't do something on Shabbos. The Gemara says, I cannot drag a heavy chair in the backyard knowing that's going to make a groove in the ground, in the soft ground. I don't want the ground to have a groove, and that's not my intention now. My intention to pull the chair over to sit down. But since that's going to happen, it's called a psikration. So opening the door is a psikrationic problem. By goy, there is no such a problem. So I'm allowed to tell a goy to open the door, even though the light is going to go on, directly to tell him. I could tell him, but you have to tell him again and again. Can't tell him to turn it off. That's a separate issue. Yeah.
Same thing applied to opening a freezer for us. When we open a freezer, I'm going to cause the motor to go off.
You have such a freezer?
No, I don't know if it's automatic.
There are people that automatically, that's what happens, the fan goes on.
It's just a grum, it brings the temperature.
Yeah, that's okay. That's another reason okay, because if you hold a grom is not okay, you cannot live in New York, Chicago, and any cold places. Because what happens, you open the door, the air comes in. It works the same way. It works. And over there it's worse.
Don't close it.
So same thing, you get a guy to close it. How no, you can't tell a kid. We spoke about it. You can. This is another mistake many people say. You can have a child play there and close it.